is the problem today. All right. So it is problem 2695, array wrapper. Create a class called array wrapper that accepts an array of integers in its constructor. So we're basically going to be wrapping an array and an object, essentially. That's the key concept here. This class should have two features. The first one is when two instances of this class are added together with the plus operator, the resulting value is the sum of all the elements in both arrays. So that might be a little hard to understand right now. Don't worry, I'm going to break it down and we're going to play around before we even start diving into the solution. And then when the string function is called on the instance, it will return a comma-separated string surrounded by brackets. For example, just a string of the array with commas in between. So it's basically a method that gets the value of the object and a method that gets the string representation of the object. And so if the array that we're wrapping is, let me see. We have two arrays that we're wrapping in this one. We have 1 and 2, and we have 3 and 4. And the operation is add. Output should be 10. Because first we're going to pass the first array into the array wrapper. So we're basically wrapping the array in an object. We're passing the second array into an object. So we're wrapping the array in an object. We have object 1 and object 2. Both of them have a property called array that is this array. Then when you add these two objects together, you should get a number. Now, I'm going to go into the code editor and break this down a little bit more so you understand exactly what happens when you add two objects together, because the default functionality of adding two objects together is going to not give us what we're looking for. So I'll show you exactly what happens when we use the default functionality, and then I'll tell you a little more information about what we actually have to do to make this work. The second one is just one array. It's this here, and the operation is going to be a string operation. So we want to return just the array as a string. So in this one, the test is only going to create one array wrapper. So we're passing the array we were given. Well, we're not doing it, but the test case is going to do it. It's going to pass the array that we were given into the array wrapper, create the object. It's going to run string on the object or object.toString. And we should return that right there. And then the last one is two empty arrays with the add operation. So we either have the add operation or the string operation. The add operation is related to the value of operation or the value of method that every single object prototype has built into it already. And the string operation is going to be related to the toString method, which also every object already has built into it. Now, the value of method and the toString method both have like default functionality. So we're going to have to modify the functions within the objects. I know. I'm going to give you a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit before I ask you if you want to go ahead and try to solve it on your own.
I still understand where like if the input is operation, why it's not showing the function? It's just nums. The code says line 5 var array wrapper equals receives function nums. There's no operation.
Exactly. I'm going to get to that. Don't worry. Let me just go over the constraints really quickly. So the length of the array that's passed in is going to be anywhere from 0 to 1,000. So they could give us 1,000 arrays. The value of each num0 is going to be anywhere from 0 to 1,000. So there could be up to 1,000 elements in each one of the arrays. And then note that nums is the array passed to the constructor. So let me just go ahead and pull open the code editor really quickly. And so the way that they have this function built, it's a function, but it's a class. And the way that we know that it's a class is basically like a prototype for an object, is that it's capital. If it was just a regular function, then it would be lowercase, and it would be a verb. So if it's a function, it would be like process numbers, create string, like it's a verb. But since it's a noun, we know that it's a class. And so when we run this function, we know we're creating an object. So let me go to my code really quickly and just show you that we have this class, and every function in JavaScript, the functions are first class functions, meaning every object, every function in JavaScript is actually an object. So if I said, like when I create a new one, let's just say this dot property 1 equals 34, this dot property 4 equals 4, this dot string property equals string, and then I go ahead and I do new array wrapper. It's going to run this function, right? And it's actually going to create the object, since we're running new, and we're storing that new function or object in new wrapper. So if I go ahead and do console.log new wrapper, let's see what we got here. So you can see we get an object with property 1, property 4, and string property. So it's a function, but functions are objects in JavaScript. And so inside this function, I create properties the same way that you could do it on an object. And when I execute this function with the new keyword before it, it's actually just taking this object and it's storing it in new wrapper. So when I print it out, we just see our object with the properties. So what we want to do is we want this object to not create random properties. We want this object to wrap our array. And so we want to create a property inside of our object that represents the array. And so the same way that I did this with integers and strings, you could also do this dot whatever equals the array that was passed in. And then let me go ahead and just do this really quickly. So let me comment these out too, because I want to take this example object that I created called new wrapper, and I want to see what the value of method on this gives me, and I want to see what the toString method gives me. All right. So you could see that the value of actually just gives me the object. It returns the object. So if I ever run value of on an object, it just returns the object. So if I try to add two objects together, that's not going to be good. That's not what we want to do. You can't just add two objects together. That's not the way it works. And so we'll get an error. And so what we want to do is we want to find a way to overwrite the value of method. So instead of returning the object, it actually processes the array that the object is wrapping. And then the toString method, you can see that it's just returning object. So you know it's an object because it's clearly telling you it is, but it's not actually sending us the array. And so we want to recreate the value of method and the toString method, overwrite them just by rewriting them down here. And so when I do array.prototype.valueof, I'm basically saying anytime we create a new object called array wrapper, I want its value of function to do this. And let's just say that I have my array saved as this. So I'm like, all right. I saved my array. You can see that nums is undefined because we don't have one. Let's just pass an array into our new array wrapper. So value of is returning the object, which contains a property, which is the array. And it's still returning object. So instead of returning these, we're going to use these methods to overwrite the prototype of objects. And so anytime you run value of on any of our objects that were created from the array wrapper class, it's going to process our array, and we could target our array by just calling this .nums, because this .nums exists. So we're going to be able to use this keyword to target any property that exists. So like, how would we iterate over this array to return the sum of the array? Because when we call value of, we just want to return the sum of the array. That's what we want this to return. We want this to return the sum of the array. So how could we find the sum of an array? It's very simple, actually. We've done it probably hundreds. Daniel, I know you've done it tons of times. And then for the toString, we want to do return, and we want to create like a template literal or a string version with the array. So you might be using like the $sign with the curly brackets to put this .nums inside of it, something of that nature. And then after, I'll give you guys an opportunity just to play around here with this old way of doing things. But after you do it with this this function method here, we're gonna go and we're gonna do it with classes. So now you just do class array wrapper constructor nums. This .nums equals nums. So, and the functions would be rebuilt.
Wait, this is the second solution? I don't get it.
No, so this is the old way of doing it. So before, JavaScript just added classes in ES6. So now you could actually use the class keyword and say, all right, this is going to be a class. I'm not confusing people by using the functionality to kind of hack my way into creating a class like they used to have to. And then modifying the prototype to change the built-in methods. Now, we could just use the class keyword, say we're creating a class, just like with Java or other languages that use classes. Create a constructor instead of passing it into the function. The constructor is a function, but it's the constructor function that every class uses to basically say, like, every new instance of this class, every new object created with this class will run this constructor. So you could pass in the array and add this to the object. And then instead of having the value of methods strung onto the array.wrapper.prototype.string and living outside of the function, you could build everything just internally in the class. So before we get to like the new ES6 way of doing things with the class, let's just focus on the old way of doing things, where kind of like JavaScript developers just had to figure out a way to use the functionality inside of JavaScript to create classes. And the way they did that was by using capital letters when they're naming the function and calling the function a noun instead of a verb. So this is a noun, it's array wrapper. We're going to go ahead and just find a way to add our array as a property to our array wrapper. And then I'm going to give whoever wants to give it a shot as far as like modifying the value of or the toString, feel free to do that. I'm going to create another file for those who are like, I don't really know where to start. I'm going to continue just breaking down the solutions.
I don't know the syntax to create a method in a class. That's a problem.
It's already here.
Where?
It's already here. The syntax is already here. All the syntax that is like...
No, I mean for the
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, don't worry about that right now.
But I'm doing that way.
Oh, you're gonna do it that way? Then just copy this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me take a look real quick.
I'll create a Daniel.js.
Okay.
And feel free to do a little research if you want, but it's pretty much here. Like this is everything. You just need to build the methods.
Okay. Thanks.
Actually, let me. Yeah, I don't want to.
You know, honestly, the other way just sounds silly. It just looks so convoluted.
It is. Well, what does convoluted mean? Complicated?
Too verbose, too complicated, and hard to understand.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. In that case, since you said that, I will start with the class, and if people do want to understand the old ways of doing things, then we could go back here. But honestly, after learning this, I tried my hardest to forget it. So we'll start with the class version here. Does anyone here besides Daniel want to give it a shot? Or...
Yeah, I think I might try and step away and solve it.
All right, you want me to create you a file too, Alex?
Sure, thank you.
Yeah. You're going to do it with the class?
Yeah, I'll do it that way.
All right, cool. Got you there. Anyone else?
Sorry, I cut out for a bit, so I missed a few minutes.
No worries at all. We had someone new pop in here, right? We got the E. What's going on? I could only see E. Yeah, I can hear you. Mm-hmm. Are you going to give the problem a shot on your own, or do you want me to walk through it? All right, cool. Yep. Did you see the problem? All right, cool. All right. So basically what we want to do is, let's just say we have object 1 and we have another one, object 2, and these are two different arrays. 12, 2. So if the test case calls object 1 plus object 2, then the test case is going to pass the array into our array wrapper class to wrap up the array and an object. And then it's just going to run object 1 plus object 2. The problem with this, though, is when you try to add objects together, JavaScript is going to say, okay, I'm going to call the value of method on YouTube. And in this case, with the built-in functionality of value of, we could go ahead and let me go ahead and just run this so you could see what actually happens. So if we do object object 1 here, so forget about object 2 for now. We pass an array into a new array wrapper, so we're creating an instance of the array wrapper. And so when I run this, you can see that just the console.log, when you console.log the object, you console.log an array wrapper. It's just an object with a property called nums, and the property's value is an array because we have this constructor that takes nums and sets this dot nums, so the nums property on the object, to the array that we pass in. So it takes this array, and the nums property is the array that we passed in. Now when we run value of on this object, it just gives us the object. So let's see what happens when we do console.log object 1 plus object 2. So let's go ahead and because I'm just showing you the built-in function of value of. Yeah, we're gonna modify the functionality of value of. So we're gonna overwrite the default functionality of value of with our own logic because we just have to. You'll see right now. So if we don't change value of and we just try to add object 1 and object 2, which the test cases are gonna do to try to find the value of both of the arrays summed, we get just object. Yeah, it combines them and converts them into strings, essentially. So you see that there's two objects that we were trying to add together, but instead of actually taking the values of the arrays, it converted them into strings and concatenated them together. And so we need to change the functionality of value of so that instead of using the object, it actually iterates over the array, returns the sum of all of the elements in the array, which is pretty simple. Good question. Good question. I personally would use reduce. So if I just want to, if every time I run value of on an instance of our array wrapper, I want to find out 3 plus 5 plus 12 plus 9. And so what I would do is I would just do this dot nums, because this will allow me to target whatever array we're working on. If it's object 1, we're going to be working on this array. Object 2, we'll be working on this array. Then I could do reduce with my accumulator or my sum and the current element, and then just do sum plus current and start from 0. So sum is just the accumulator. Sum is like what's going to be returned from the function after all of the elements are added together, and cur is the current element. So when we're first starting, let me just show you on the first object here. So we have sum and we have cur. So sum in the beginning is 0, because that's what we passed into the reduce method as the second argument. The first argument is the function. The second argument is what you want to initialize sum as. So sum starts as 0. Current on the first iteration is going to be 3, because this is the first element. So what we do is we add sum plus current, which is 3 plus 0, and now sum is 3. Then we move to the 5. So current is 5. We do 5 plus 3. We get 8. Move to the next one. So 12. 12 plus 8, 20. Then we move to the last one. 9. So current is 9. And we get 29. Then we end up just returning that sum from the overall. And since instead of returning the object from value of, we're actually returning this array reduced, and we're just basically adding each element in the array to each other. So now when I run, yep. Internally, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're iterating over the array. Yes. Yeah. Yep. So some you're going to be passing from, like, just imagine there's a for loop in there, and current is nums I. So current is going to be changing depending on the element that we're processing, and sum is just like initializing a total variable outside of the for loop. So just imagine that, like inside reduce, just imagine we have a total variable, and we have a for loop that I equals 0 while I is less than nums dot length I plus plus, and then we just do total equals total plus current, which current is nums I, and 0 is initialized as whatever we pass in So let's just say we have our reduce function where we're like, let's say we're creating the reduce function. So const reduce equals accumulator and current. Total would be initialized as the accumulator. Actually, we have, this is actually a callback. So we're passing in our function right here. So this is our callback. I don't want to go ahead and recreate reduce, but basically we'll just say this is our initial value. Our total is set to our initial value. So whatever you pass in as the initial value, we're passing that in as 0. That's what sum is going to start as. And so total will start at, if we started at 20, then it would start at 20 and it would end up being 29 plus 20. But yeah, essentially it's a for loop. And it gives us the sum of the array as simply as it's put.
I just don't, I can't understand this. Like, how do I know what operation they want?
You don't have to think about that.
Yeah, but the problem says like there's 2 parameters, right? Nums and operation. Operation is gonna be a prototype, right? It's gonna be one of the prototypes. It's gonna be either value of or to string. How do I determine which one is it?
It's good. They're gonna give like 30 different test cases, and they're gonna try like different instances of num with different add or string. So you don't know if it's string or add. You just have to build the class in a way that handles both of them. So if they, that's okay. That's good actually. All right, so we have value of working here. So now if I go ahead and I console log object1 plus object2, we shouldn't get the string version of 2 object strings being added together, since object1 plus object2 would automatically use value of on the back end. It should run this function automatically. Object1 should return a number. Object2 should return a number since we're trying to add them together. And we should get a number here. So let's check that out. And yes, we are getting a number. So if we run object1 value of, we're getting 49. So value of is working correctly. It's returning a number. Oh yeah. Yeah. I changed it back to 0. Yeah, it shouldn't be 49. And then our toString, let's go ahead and just look at our toString. So we overwrote the value of method, and now we're getting an actual number instead of a string. Object string, when we run this method, now our toString method, we're still getting object. So we're getting a string, but this is just what JavaScript gives us when we run toString on an object. And so what we want to do is we just want to say, that's not the string we want. We want a different string. So what string do we want? What string do we want to return? And so we say, return to me a template literal with an array. I'm going to pass some data into there. The data I'm going to pass in is nums join. And I'm going to join this array by commas. And that should be good right there. I believe this should be good right here. Because let me just get rid of this template for a minute. Let's just say we run this.nums join. What do we get back here? So we get 3, 5, 12, 9. So we do get the array joined together by commas, and it is a string, But the way that the problem wants it back, if string is ran, is it wants the elements separated by commas, but it also wants them wrapped in an array. And so for us to wrap them in an array, we need the template literals. We need to put an array right there. And then since we have the template, now we need to do this. So now this will give us the same thing we have right here. So the string version with commas, and the template allows us to wrap it in an array brackets. So now you can see we get back a string version of our array separated by commas. The value of method returns the sum of the elements inside of the array. And I believe this should work. This should work as a submit. And I'm open for questions. I want you guys, because there was a lot of silence, and I know if Daniel can't solve it, that it's a tough one. So
I tried. Can you take a look at my file, please? Because I don't know what I'm doing that's wrong.
Yeah, so this one worked. All right, let's see. Daniel.js.
So I don't understand why I'm getting issues with my methods, and I don't know if I'm like instantiating things correctly.
Okay, so your value of method looks correct. So this dot nums dot reduce. Yeah, so you're iterating over the nums array. You're initializing your accumulator or your sum as 0, and current is going to be, 1, 2, 3, 4. You should get 7, 8, 9, 10 for this one right here. So this looks good. Yeah, you got this one right. For the string, you're taking this dot nums dot flat.
Yeah, I'm flattening everything so we only have the numbers. Then I transform it into a string.
All right, let me take this really quickly because I'm actually,
put it inside an array.
I want to see just what we're getting back with this. So did you run?
Nums is an array, so you should be able to flatten it.
Yeah, I just want to see like what is actually. All right, so node flat cannot read properties of undefined. Oh, let me comment this out, I think. There we go. All right, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh. I haven't used flat often. I think I used it once a while ago. Let's see.
But regardless, the first console log is value off, and it's not giving me the sum.
Console log, new wrap. Let me see. Class, array wrapper. Alex, feel free. Constructor, this nums equals nums. Value of this dot nums dot reduce. Yeah, capitalization looks good. Console log, new wrapper 1. Let new wrapper 1 equals array wrapper. Oh, because you are giving it multiple arrays. We're only supposed to give it one array at a time. All right, so maybe flatten will work now too. I want to see. All right, let's test this out. All right, so we're getting 10, which is correct. And then flatten, this is flatten, right?
Yeah, this is flatten.
So that's not changing it. All right. So, well, yeah, you have more code. Yeah, let me go ahead and add the other code.
But I need to transform it into a string. And I don't know if it's doing it or not.
Yeah, I'm just adding one piece of code at a time so I could see how each piece of code is changing it. All right, so now let's see what happens when we cannot read it's because I uncommented this again. Hold on. All right, so now we do have the string version of this. And then, so you also want to turn the bracket into a string though. So you have the brackets on the outside here.
I had the
I think you want to have them on the inside, and then if this works, let's see. Oops.
I just had them on the outside, but I don't know. Maybe maybe it should be in the inside.
Yeah, because you do want the brackets to be a
Yeah.
part of the string.
Yeah, so maybe that was my mistake, because it was like the brackets were outside of string.
Let's see.
No, wait, it was inside. Okay, I'm getting confused.
Yeah, we're still not getting the brackets because string is interpreting this as an array. So if you wanted to
Yeah.
use the string method, you would have to
Yeah, just
do like template literals
Yeah.
with
yeah.
that, and then run the JavaScript separately with the with this right here.
That looks so silly, but it's gonna work.
Yeah, so you had it all right. The only difference is you didn't wrap it in template literals. That's it. That's the only thing you had. Yeah.
My console log was wrong.
There you go.
So how do you know? Oh, because it's not yellow, right? So it means it's a string. In the
Yes.
console.
Yes. Integers are yellow. Strings are
I
white.
got close enough.
Yeah, you had it. You had it. Yeah. Yeah. So it's simpler than it seems, though, right? Like the problem seems harder in the beginning. You're like, what the heck is going on? I'm new to objects. What's this class stuff? But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We're just overriding the built-in methods to get what we want.
Yeah.
I have a course.
I was having this bug with flat, and the console log was wrong, and I couldn't understand why string was not performing its thing, on the result. But
Yeah.
I guess you can't use a string method in an array.
Let's
It doesn't
post it and
understand that.
let me test it here. Yeah, it works. Nice.
Yeah, pretty, efficient, right?
If you run it again, it'll be different though. So let's see. Yeah,
See, I told you.
it's not bad. Not bad.
Okay.
All right. So Alex has a solution here. So he said just this dot nums. So that's going to give him the array with the array wrapped around it. Let me go ahead. I love how he does comments, though, honestly. All right, let's test this out. Let's test out Alex's. Has already been declared. Class. Oh.
Yeah.
Let's comment this out. All right, so array wrapper, you have your object with your nums property, object 1.nums, so you got your array, object 1 value of 29, object 1 to string. Yeah, so that looks good.
Pretty good.
This dot nums. So I guess technically you didn't even need the join. I used the join, but I guess you don't even need that. So that simplified it a little bit. And yeah, let's test this.
In the value of method, right?
I used the join in the toString method. Let's test this out. Okay, and he iterated over it one by one instead of using reduce, but same thing basically. Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good too.
If you're running again, it's gonna be like 90% for sure.
Let's try. Watch it be like negative 50%. I'm just playing. About the same thing, actually. 51, 51, 43.8, 43.7. Wow, that's the closest I've seen on the second one ever. I want to ask everybody, does everyone get this, or what questions do you have? Or if you don't understand it, that's fine.
I understand it. Oh, go ahead, Santiago.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm just looking into the reduce function, but everything else makes sense. Like the arrays, the objects, that all makes sense. Just the specific function I didn't know about. I'm just like reading about it, but it's pretty simple.
Yeah, so if you look at Alex's value of, this is basically what reduce is doing. You're initializing a total or a result to 0. You're iterating over the array. So from 0 to nums.length, but you have to use this .nums.length since we're working with objects. And then you're just adding the current element to the result, and then you're returning the result. So that's basically what the reduce is doing. It's just more concise.
That makes sense. And the reduce gives you some extra options as to where to start.
Yeah.
I use reduce because I thought it was just easier to write it one line.
Yeah, true. In an interview, they might say don't use any built-in methods, but most of the time they don't care as long as you get the code working. That's the most important thing. What else? What other questions do we have? Oh, looks like T was trying to come in. Gonna restart my computer. It's not working properly. That was like 5 minutes ago. T was gonna pop in here 45 minutes late. Yeah. All good.
I mean, I would just like, if possible, to just give like a quick overview of how like OOP, what is being done in the background regarding OOP, right? Because there's inheritance, abstraction and all that kind of stuff. Like you can't modify. For example, you cannot modify to string or value up. So I assume there's some abstraction going on. I don't know.
Yeah, so when the constructor is going to be O of one time and O of n space. So you're allocating space in the memory for n elements, and you're basically just taking an array that already exists and reassigning it to a property on an object. Mm-hmm. The value of method is O of n time and O of one space, and the toString is going to be nums.flat. I guess you're taking an array, you're still converting it to a string, so I would say O of one time and O of n time and O of one space, I believe.
Yeah, but what about the 4 pillars of OOP?
OP?
Yeah, we're using object-oriented programming here, right?
Uh-huh.
So, for example, when you do new array wrapper, when you do new wrapper and receives new array wrapper, that's you're instantiating the class, right? So there's inheritance going on. Is that correct?
You're using the object prototype to create an object.
Yes, exactly, which has the methods from the class, the parent class, value of and toString, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's inheritance. So I would like to tell me a little bit more about the 4 pillars, if possible.
I don't know anything about the OP that you're talking about, honestly. I've never heard that before. I've never heard it in interviews or in the professional.
4 pillars?
Yeah, ever. Where'd you hear about it?
It's like school stuff.
Yeah, like C# book that I read.
All right, so do you know anything about it?
I know something about it. For example, you cannot change the value of and the toString methods. You can only call them. That's supposed to be an example of abstraction. So usually the example that people give is like a DVD, right? You can open the lid, you can turn it on, turn it off, but you can't change any of the hardware or anything that's like the things that are inside each of these things. Like you can't take the on button and transform it to something else, or the open lid button and transform it to something else.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. You're not supposed to change it. So that's called abstraction. You're abstracting complexity away from the end user.
Yeah.
There is inheritance, which when you instantiate the class and create an object with new wrapper 1 on line 19, that you inherit you know, the properties, which would be nums, and the methods, which would be value of and toString. Um, so I don't see any example here of polymorphism because it's all pretty much the same. You're not changing anything. Um, and what is the other one? Encapsulation. Yeah, encapsulation would be the idea that everything that's related to one another should be bundled together in the same class.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't have a lot of different things inside a class. It should only do one thing for one purpose.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
Yep. Yep.
I'm not sure if this follows it or not, but I guess it does for this purpose. But that's all I know.
Yeah, I think value of and toString are really as fundamental as it comes. That's the reason why they built it into the object prototype to begin with.
Oh,
Yeah.
can I say something? I was just looking up what polymorphism meant, and it basically gives the function the ability to work with multiple types of data, so like integers or strings. It's like sort of what we're going for with the class, with the value of and toString. So in a way, the class in general has polymorphism.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was like, for example, the usual example that they give with polymorphism is have a shape, but you can like do like something like shape extends. Sorry. I don't know. Triangle extends shape, and then you change the method uh, to calculate the area instead of instead of using, let's say, height times width. Now you do height times width divided by 2, and then that basically the idea is that you can take something and you can create many things out of it. I'm not sure if this is what's going on because it's static, right? You're always returning the same thing. Doesn't matter, what you do.
Yeah, yeah. You're changing basically the return value of two built-in functions. But if you wanted to extend this thing, you could and say like you wanted to do like
Yeah.
let's just say you wanted to pass in like prop one, prop two, and you called it like array wrapper with properties extends array wrapper.
Hmm.
then
Exactly.
then yeah, then you would take this functionality from array wrapper and it would already be in here, so we wouldn't have to like build these methods. This one with the extra properties is already gonna have it. So if we did like
Exactly.
yeah, it's gonna inherit it.
yeah, if we did like array.
But of course, if you have the method there, you can change it into something different. Like value of could return like a random number or something like that,
Or you
and
could
it
make it
would,
so it adds twice as much or something like that.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
like polymorphism. You can use the same methods in different ways.
Which is what he was doing earlier with the, I don't know if you saw him do the override functions on the old school
No,
JavaScript. That was essentially what the polymorphism was, I think.
no, I didn't see
He
that
was,
because I was
yeah,
doing
right there
other
where it
stuff.
says he's taking the original function value of and reassigning it to what we.
I know in some
Okay,
languages you could do like method overloading or something like that. Like in C++,
yeah,
I know is popular where
C
you
sharp.
base yeah, where you're giving multiple different functionality to the same method name but in different contexts or something of that nature. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, like you can use the same name like value of, but
Yeah.
it's gonna have more than one parameter. So let's say like the method value of, let's say it has one parameter, right? And then you use it again somewhere else. But then you use it with two parameters. When you call it recognizes that it's a different thing, and thinks, oh, this one has two parameters, so I'm gonna run this method this value of method instead of the first one, something like that. I don't remember exactly how to explain
That's
it.
deep. No, that makes
But
sense.
it understands like, okay, so this one has three parameters, even though it has the same name of the other one that only has one. So I'm gonna run the one with three parameters because that's what's being passed, like three arguments.
But
Yeah.
but the
I
user
love
or
that.
the other developer basically just has to know the name of one function and not four or five different ones.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. What was I doing earlier where I was like, I love this. I like learned something new and I was like, I forgot what it was, man. I gotta remember what it was. It was something with functions. I forgot what it was though. It wasn't the overloading. I've definitely seen that before. Yeah, this stuff is fun, man.
I learned a lot of like the high level stuff, because I did computer science and then I stopped doing that in college the first time around. So I learned a lot about programming, but then I took a long break just to work and stuff. And so I have a high level understanding of it, like the objects and stuff, but like the functions I have such a hard time because there's so many of them. I don't know them.
I'm the opposite. I know my way around functions, but I don't really know like how to create a method in OOP, even though I theoretically understand. I just don't know the syntax. So it's pretty much like it looks like a function really,
I have
but it doesn't have the function keyword. So
this course you might like. Let me see if I think it's like called design patterns. Actually, I think I have it. I don't know if I did it. Yeah, design patterns in JavaScript. I went through a little
you
bit
can
of
share
it.
your password with us. That'd be nice.
Hey, yeah. You, yeah, you see all the courses. You're like, let me get one of those.
Yeah. That would be awesome. Like if you had like not necessarily your account, but if you had like a burner account that your students could use.
You know, I was thinking about I want to do that eventually. Open up a business account, and anyone who subscribes has access to it. Yeah. I want to do that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Same with
Extra value.
Yeah. I want to have the Udemy. Everyone has access to Udemy, and everybody has access to O'Reilly. Like those are the two big ones, because those have been just so valuable to me. You know, so I'd love to give that back.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, cool. I guess this was the last one of the week. So unless you're coming into the boot camp Friday and Saturday, I won't see you until Monday. Yeah,
I have a question about the web development thing. Are we meeting up tomorrow?
yeah, tomorrow 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, what about the morning thing? Is that
Yeah, I'm thinking about everything. I'm just trying to figure out how to make everything work. So I am planning to do the daily stand up sooner than later. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what the best time is, and same with like the Monday through Friday for the boot camp. Just trying to figure out what's best for everybody. So yeah, just collecting some feedback right now, and then I'll make a decision definitely within a couple weeks.
Okay.
But as far as the boot camp goes right now, it's going to be just like as expected, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday every week. And then I'm going to be making some time on the weekends just to work through like coding with people and that sort of thing. So actually like making push and pull requests, working on code, creating feature branches, like all the GitHub collaboration type stuff and writing code. I'm opening up time on the weekends to work with people, either like one-on-one who have signed up for the boot camp, or as like small teams, or as the whole team, whoever's available, basically.
Jim, right now you're doing front end only, right? Project.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I might be interested when we start like getting some full stack action there.
Yeah, we're gonna do that eventually. I think with this project here that we're working on, we're building a nonprofit navigator, so we're making it easier for people to contribute to nonprofit organizations. And then I believe once this is done, as far as like a good prototype, a good like first version for front end, I believe we're gonna convert it into Angular or React or whatever the team votes on, Svelte, Vue, whatever. And then after that, then we're gonna build a back end. So this is the first team, you know. So it's not like there's not gonna be back end integrated into this project as well, but it's just like one step at a time, you know.
Yeah.
have experience with Angular.
Yeah, I liked Angular when I played around with Angular. I liked Angular. Most of my experience is with React. But if everyone votes on Angular, we'll work our way through it for sure.
I just went through all the documentation and some courses on it, so I feel pretty good on it. I'm just like trying to get good at the TypeScript stuff.
I love TypeScript, man.
It's so nice.
Oh, it
That's the
makes
only
it
thing
so.
I'm missing out.
It'd be nice to have a TypeScript event, like a one-off TypeScript event. It doesn't have to be like a weekly thing.
That's pretty
Would be
much my
great.
native tongue now.
I know.
What?
That's my native tongue, TypeScript. So I'm trying to get good
Yeah.
at it. 'Cause it works so well with Angular. It's beautiful.
I like JavaScript for just like prototyping, like getting an idea out there. But once you're actually building an application that you know is going to go live, it's TypeScript all the way. There's no chance of JavaScript.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
started with Java and like just basically like strict computer science crap. So it's like it's simple for me to get into the types. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like at least
love-
that I'm just wanting to learn functions.
I feel so much.
Something with a
Go ahead.
burn stack or something.
Yeah. That's what I'm planning on doing. You know, moving from this first project, first team to I was planning on doing React, but I'm like, hey man, at the end of the day, like once you know React, you could basically build anything with Angular or Svelte or Vue or anything because you understand one well enough. You could just ask questions like, how do I do this in that language? If you understand the concepts, you could build it in that language. And then I was gonna go to Node, but I'm like, hey man, if people want to use Python, then we'll do it in Python. Like, who cares, man? We'll figure it out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. I'm super excited for all this stuff, man.
Yeah,
Cause
I'd be fine learning Vue as well, because it'd be nice to know another framework
I heard.
/ library.
yeah, true.
So let's do it. Vue. You already have 2 people.
We gotta vote on it as a team. It's gonna be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a team right now. This is cool because with the teams, the way it's gonna work out is like I want to get a picture of everybody too, and I want to post the pictures as like on the O1 website, just as like, hey, this is the first team to work its way through the boot camp, you know, and share the project that the team worked on. And what's up?
Can I join it too?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're on the newbie membership, so just show up tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll add you to the group communication and
6 a.m.
6 p.m.
Oh,
6 a.m.
That's a bit early for me.
Yeah, we wake up at 4 a.m. over here. This is Navy SEAL / coding boot camp training.
that's right.
That's it.
The actual.
You gotta know, clean the toilet with a toothbrush and all that.
Yeah.
You gotta program your toothbrush to do it.
Yeah. That's funny.
Okay, so it's tomorrow and Saturday, right?
Tomorrow and Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes. Cool.
Good day, guys.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.